Were you ever with a person that claimed to be someone that they're not? That claimed to act a certain way, or be a certain way, or express something a certain way? Were you with someone that said they were a good person, but they didn't exemplify that? It wasn't something that happened in like a day-to-day basis. Maybe they said they were a good person, but you kept discovering different lies in the relationship. Maybe they said that they were, nice to you, but you kept hearing like the tone and the anger and the frustration and a lot of things that kept adding up to being like, this doesn't really make sense. How can you be a good person? How can you say that you're this, but you're doing the exact opposite? A lot of times, people in toxic relationships, relationships with narcissists, experience a moment where that person will testify and will say, I'm a good person. And the thing is, they're not just saying, I'm a good person and backing it up. They're saying, I'm a good person and giving you cognitive dissonance of wondering, like, wait a second, do I believe their words or do I believe their actions? And a lot of times it's confusing for a lot of people out there. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this platform to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. Do that in a couple different ways. One, by dropping free nuggets of truth everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, social media out there to try to help people just get awareness of what narcissism is and the truly destructive nature it has in people's lives. Also to help bring about not just awareness, but healing, growth, and change. Helping people understand that there is a way out. There is clarity after the confusion. There is peace after everything that has happened. And the more people are able to understand the truth of the situation, they can break free. I try to work with people daily to help them understand and to get that clarity through one-on-ones with people across the globe, to try to help them understand what's actually happened, to be able to break out of the trauma bond of, I know this is toxic, but I still want to go back. I still want to interact with a person that I know is not the best for me. How do I get out of this? And teaching people a system of how to rewire their mindset, of how to change the story that they're telling themselves that pulls them back to that toxic person time and time again. I try to help them work through the detox phase where they're ruminating about the narcissism. They can't get them off their mind and they know they don't want to be with them, but there's still issues there where there's peace because the narcissist isn't in their life actively abusing, but it doesn't feel peaceful. That's going through that detox process, helping people get through that to get to the place where they can develop who they are going to be in the future and how those boundaries should be set up so they don't get back with a narcissist or with a toxic person and they avoid toxic people in the future. That's what we try to do on a day-to-day basis as we put out social media and as we interact. If you guys don't follow on any other platforms, please follow us. Just look up Raw Motivations on any of those platforms I listed below earlier. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Look up Raw Motivations. If you're listening on the podcast today, thank you so much. Give us a like, give us a review, because we're trying to just share this with as many people as we can so that they can understand what is going on with narcissism. Anytime I talk to a therapist or someone in clinicals or someone that books a session with me that's gotten out of a relationship with a narcissist, the number one thing they always say is, I've learned about this in school, but it doesn't look like this in real life. If you need help and support, and I think everybody does, to be able to have a community of people to help you along your journey, then check out the NARC app. Just type in NARC and download it from Apple or from Google Play. If you don't know what the 9 characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder, go ahead and log on there. There's a free course on there. You can just walk through, understand more of what it actually is. Be great for you to understand that and be able to see all the other benefits you can have by engaging with that app. We've got monthly coaching, weekly lives, courses inside there, audio armory with positive messages, like a lot of different things that are going on, more things to come. Check that out. Just look up NARC, N-A-R-C, in the Apple Store and in the Google Play Store. So anyways, did they ever say, the person in your life, that toxic person, did they ever say, I am a good person? A lot of times when they're saying this, a lot of times when they're doing this, they're trying to project that mask onto someone else. They're trying to project like, hey, this is me. I am good. Understand this. Like, you need to be convinced of this. Sometimes they're trying to convince you of it because they're also trying to convince themselves because they have to believe this. If they don't believe it, then they have to be faced with their own aspect of guilt and shame of what they've actually done. If you know anything about narcissism, one of the biggest, like what I call the raging river underneath narcissistic personality disorder is shame. And how do I avoid that? How do I move away from it so that I don't have to engage with that feeling of I'm a bad person when I'm telling myself and other people that I'm a good person? And you see, the narcissist is adept at putting together a mask. Person I was talking to the other day said the idea of they're great at building Lego houses with everybody else's bricks. Because what they do is they fabricate a mask, they fabricate an image that they take from other people, and that mask is set up and is built upon, sometimes they're gaslighting, they're love bombing, they're future faking, and is built up by other people's perception or idea of them. And so if they get to the place that they have to actually engage with that and say, my mask that I have up saying I'm a good person actually is not real, again, that activates the shame, that activates the guilt. Have to be able to avoid that. Did the person in your life say, I'm a good person, but then not follow it up? Did they say they're a good person, but then seem to communicate completely differently, seem to demonstrate completely differently? That's the idea of cognitive dissonance. Having two opposing thoughts in your head and you're wondering, wait a second, which do I believe, their words or their actions? Because they're saying that they're loving me, but they still scream at me. They say that they care about me, but they still never show up. Cognitive dissonance is the idea of where their words say one thing, but they don't behave in alignment with their words. They don't behave in a way that actually makes sense. And so as a result, you're stuck there thinking, which one do I go with? A lot of times with the good person idea of I am a good person, and then the abuse happens, or I am a good person, then I lie, and then I am a good person, then I cheat. All these different things happen. It also develops a giant push-pull in the relationship, which is the structure of building a trauma bond. Of that intermittent reinforcement of like, wait a second, like I'm a good person, like value me. And you're like, oh, okay. And then like, boom, then I treat you bad. And back and forth, the idealization, the devaluation, like time and time again, you see this happen over and over and over again. And that trauma bond forms tighter and tighter and tighter based on the lies, based on hope, based on potential, and based on cognitive dissonance that keep you stuck in a toxic relationship that make you wonder, why do I even want to be here? But I have to be here. I need to go back. I need to break free from that trauma bond. If you've seen some of my videos or heard some of my story, one of the lies that I told myself was, I am a good person. You could look it up on YouTube, the lies that I believe. Got 7 different ones that I identified whenever I went through Wake Up Warrior Challenge the first time and realized the lies that I had in my life and in my heart between me, myself, and I, myself and God, myself and my wife, my work, my job, my coworkers, everything like that. And the lies that I believe, one of the ones that I had that was in the forefront of my mind a lot of times is, I am a good person. The problem was just a statement. Like, it doesn't appear like a lie, right? It doesn't appear like a lie until it's faced with the truth. Until I was able to face the truth of like, I'm saying I'm a good person in my head. I'm thinking I'm a good person in my head, but then I'm still going back and emotionally abusing my wife. I'm still going back and I'm gaslighting her, making her think that the things that I've done actually didn't happen so that I can get away with it. I'm frustrating her. I'm pissing her off. I'm attacking in a lot of different ways, emotionally and mentally, that's making her cry and frustrated. I'm cheating on her with multiple different people, multiple years, and saying I'm a good person. This is just how I am. But I still love my wife because I'm still there. I'm still in the marriage. No. Told myself I was a good person while I was still lying. Told myself I was still a good person while I was still manipulating. Because the idea is I have to tell myself I'm a good person so I can justify the bad things that I'm doing. I had to justify my actions to myself, to my family, to friends, to work, overall image. It's the idea that I had to be able to put out there and had to be able to say, hey, I am a good person. The problem was I would say I'm a good person and I would think I'm a good person. I would go through life with the mask that I'm a good person, but I wouldn't demonstrate that. This is why a lot of times people ask, like, did you love your wife or anything like that? And I'm like, no, because I didn't demonstrate that. I didn't actually show that. And when we're talking about the idea of someone saying, hey, I'm a good person, one thing I want to highlight real quick is I'm not talking about victims that the narcissists are attacking and they're having to justify themselves. It's like, no, like, I know I'm a good person. Like, I haven't done this to you. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about people like myself that has done this in the past of saying, thinking, and acting in their heads, in their facade, in the idea of the mask of like, hey, I'm a good person, and then acting the opposite. Okay? Just to clarify that a little bit. Today, if you're struggling with this, if you're struggling with the idea of what's actually going on, you have to be able to latch on to the truth of the situation and see what are actually the fruits. What is actually the demonstration of what's happening? A lot of times people get this confused whenever someone is saying, I'm a good person, or I'm not a bad person, or like, you just need to believe me, I'm trustworthy. Like all these different things will be said. And you have to take a step back and you have to be like, okay, as I look at this, what is the active demonstration on a day-to-day basis of how their words are matching up with their actions? And if their actions are not matching up with their words, then don't believe their words. Because at the end of the day, the narcissist will tell you anything to be able to manipulate, to be able to control, and to be able to get you to do what they want you to do. So when you think about it, looking on your relationship, how did the narcissist in your life, how do they demonstrate love on a day-to-day basis? How they demonstrate care day after day? How they demonstrate faithfulness in and out of the relationship? How do they demonstrate faithfulness in how they're acting? How they demonstrate integrity and how they're living? How they demonstrate those things? The list can go on and on and on. I was talking to somebody the other night and they were talking about like, hey, I'm like worried about like breaking no contact. Well, first thing is sit down and write down 25 things of how the narcissist demonstrated all those things to you, or of how they demonstrated the abuse to you. And then sign your name at the bottom, because you need to understand that when you go back and you reach back out to recontact someone, you're signing on for all the abuse that they gave you before. All the lack of demonstration, all the ideas of, hey, I'm a good person, but I'm still going to keep abusing you. That's what you're signing on for. So please be careful.